Hi, my name is Steve Faulkner and I've watched a lecture this morning and I think it's completely changed my mind on something, kind of. But keep watching to find out why. Before we do this, please have a look at stevefaulkner.com/newsletter. stevefaulkner.com/newsletter. Don't have a look at it, you're going to have to, but just go there and put your email address in, because if you do that, you'll be reminded of when I go live sometimes, well, which is a lot, but sometimes I forget to remind you, so make sure you subscribe as well if you want that. You will be reminded when I drop podcasts, and there's 2 different ones of those. You will be reminded of when I do reviews and other videos and other things as well. Right, that's what you'll be reminded of. And of course, my onlinemagic.co membership site and all my courses on there if you scroll down to the bottom of the page. Talking of courses, well, it's not a course, it's a lecture. However, it felt like a course. I felt like I'd learned something, and I felt like, as I said, my mind had been changed or challenged, and I love that. And I love that when I've been saying something, even in my lectures, and I go, man, am I right about this? Now, I hold this up. This isn't exactly what I'm reviewing. This is the kind of catalyst of this, really. So Perseus Arkomanis. Well, let's go back a thing, right? Meaning in magic. Meaning in magic. What does it mean? Well, for me, sometimes it means a kind of weird metaphor slapped on top of a trick, which can sometimes weaken it, or at least make me question, am I listening to this, am I watching it? And basically sometimes it doesn't work. And I've seen that an awful lot. Now that's only a very personal thing, by the way, but it's something that I have not been stimulated by or found enjoyable many times. Except when I see people do it that I feel are supposed to do it. It's kind of authentic. I always hark on about this, but Eugene Berger is the classic one. I know it's not the most original example, but just someone that you just watch him tell stories and you're just in it. You're in the moment and the magic is enhanced by it. But it's few and far between for me. And then Perseus comes along when, quite a few years ago, he sent me some stuff to review. Quite a few years ago, he sent me this to review, but let's not go there. But I actually did some of it. One of the things was Medusa. Is it called Medusa, the actual trick? I think it is. Anyway, it's just a beautiful, as he says, it's his kind of hate letter to the Omni deck. And I do think it's better than the Omni deck. I think it's just got so much in it. Just to interrupt you for a minute so we can keep doing this, here is a word from our very, very lovely sponsor. And then there are releases on Orion Magic, so check out Orion Magic, I think it's .com or .co, but just Google that. And Perseus's releases are on there. Now this is Tiles, I'm not going to go deep into it, but Tiles and Mosaic with 2 books, which are about, Tiles is about scripting, Mosaic is about, I think, using metaphor. And they're page turners, right? I forget, I look into this and straight away I'm going, this is good commercial stuff. It's not just fluff, and a lot of theory can come across like that. So we're going to talk about that on the podcast, me and Perseus, soon, so keep an eye on that. But I want to talk about the lecture. The lecture, which is Resonance, was just a sort of amalgamation of all of this. But importantly, it really got me excited. By the end of watching a lecture about theory that did teach tricks, but presentation that uses metaphor and storytelling in a way that works for me, made me go, right, I've just seen tricks and routines that I don't tend to enjoy watching that much if they were just done on their own as a trick. And I've said to myself in the past, well, that's because I'm kind of done that sort of magic for years. It just doesn't really hit the spot anymore. Then I watch Perseus do it and I go, that hit the spot. I thought that was beautiful. Not just beautiful in his poetic way of presenting it, but just a really magical experience for me. And almost like a falling one, not by the end of it. It's not like I didn't know that was done, but I was so caught up in it that I forgot to really look and I was surprised. And that's when you know something's kind of working, right? So in his lecture, and this is like $20, right? It's incredible. It's like a 2-hour lecture or an hour and a half lecture. And he comes on to some Jimi Hendrix music, and you think that's great, but that's kind of, I wasn't expecting that. And then later on he calls back to it, and you realise it's a crafted lecture, right? This is a lecture that's been completely crafted from beginning to end, with an understanding of where you might start questioning things, and then with an example of something that makes you not question it. Not that you've got to agree wholeheartedly with everything, but it's that, no, that works, I can see that working. You've given me an example and I can't argue with it. So there's a kind of, you would say, spectator cuts the aces at the beginning. A brilliant way of doing like a stop force, which isn't just say stop. It makes sense. And the idea of the sort of, he talks about, you know, taking a photo with just touching your phone isn't the same anymore. We used to have this kinesthetic thing, and then we used to take it to somewhere, and we used to have to wait 5 days to get it back, and it came in this package, and it was like, it was full of mystery. And the minute he tells that story, you think, right, he's telling that for a reason. He's telling that because we can all relate to it. Many people can't if they're younger, but a lot of us can. And if they're younger, they can imagine what that was like. It's nostalgia for so many of us, and it links directly with what he's doing, which is taking something that could potentially be just pressing a button or just watching a magic trick or just doing a thing, and making it into something more than just a story with a magic trick. And this is what he continues to do. And I was delighted. Most of these tricks, and there's not hundreds of them, there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 given as examples, but most of them I could imagine doing as he did them. Which isn't the point, I suppose. The point is to do it, be creative. But the point I'm making is that I'm looking at a storyteller saying, I want to do that and I want to tell that story. And when I get a couple, I want to do the straw trick. It's so beautiful, this straw trick. And I just went, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. And before I would say, no, you don't have to do that. You just do the trick. They have a magical moment. They go, yay, and everything's good and brilliant. But I think that I'm really questioning this now. Now, am I saying that every trick has to have meaning? No. And as Perseus said, some magic is like getting fast food, right? It's really enjoyable. It's pleasure. It gives you a dopamine hit. It gives them a moment. And let's carry on. And sometimes that is unfortunately my job. But if I'm honest with myself, do I want that to be my job? Or am I dumbing something down is the wrong way to put it, because I'm not, because that implies that the people watching it are dumb. I'm not saying that, but the situation requires, because of the stimulus around, that I can't do anything that is focused. So I'm making something potentially less effective because of the environment, which I have to be at peace with. But what I'm not doing is what I maybe thought before was, I'm doing that because that's just what people want. They don't want that stuff. No, they probably would if the scenario were different and if I was a bit more directive about where this performance would take place. And I left the lecture. I don't want to go into the details because we're going to be talking about it in the podcast, and I want you to check it out. And for the price it is, I really think you should. For what it did for me is at the end of it, of watching the whole thing, and not on 2 times speed, which I can do sometimes. I didn't want to. I wanted every word to hit. And it made me really reassess how I approach not only the magic I do in a show, which I have always thought that needs presentation, but also my close-up. Is there a way of just giving this a little bit of meaning? You know, I've heard people say, like John Allen, talk about doing a word on an ambitious card instead of a signature, but Perseus gives you more examples of why a signature might not be as powerful, and more examples of different things you could use and how you could potentially present them. And I just think it's brilliant. And before I carry on, or finish, thank God, I hear you say, the reason I got so interested in this in the first place and said to Perseus, I really want to think about this more, and then totally forgot about it for months, is that me and my partner Helen, and I have told this story I think on a podcast before, were at the Ruskin, and in my lecture I talked about this. Get on with it, Steve. In the Ruskin, noise everywhere, busy everywhere, and Perseus came up, introduced him, and Helen just thought he was lovely, as he is, not in a patronising way, just a really good, you can tell he's a good soul, and presented a card trick to us for a couple that was a presentation based around not just here's a trick that is about a couple. It's just more than that. And we, for that moment, just forgot where we were, and we were both completely enthralled, genuinely, in that moment. And it connected us, with Perseus, to the point where Helen only met him for that time, and that was 3 years ago. And I said to her this morning, I've had a message from Perseus, I'm going to go and watch his feature. And he's lovely, say hello, all that sort of thing. And you go, right, that wasn't just because he's lovely, he is, but because of the moment we had. And that, I think, explains probably better what I've just tried to explain over the last 10 minutes. Check it out. You get some great tricks, you get some good insights. Have a look at the site. We're doing a podcast soon, so listen out for that. And don't think this isn't for you if you're not that sort of performer, because that would be a mistake. And these books, Tiles and Mosaic, you can get them, I think, on sale on his site at the moment. They are really wonderful pieces of work. And I think he's a great addition to our community. And no, it's not a Penguin lecture or a Vanished Ink masterclass. I love them. But because Perseus hasn't got that weight behind him to push, the work that he does, it's all independently. I'm not saying they don't sell it, but it's all independently created. I'd love you to go and look at the site and check out the Medusa trick. It's just stunning, which he presents on the lecture as well. Right, much more to say, but I won't, to save you from me saying it. Have a great one. Take care. Please use the links below. Go to stevefaulkner.com/newsletter, Instagram @stevefaulkner, and at Real Magic Review. But the newsletter thing will get you everywhere. All right, see ya.